chosen one. This message didn't stumble across your screen by chance. God Himself ordered the algorithm, aligned the timing, and prepared your spirit to receive what's about to be poured into you. You've been feeling a holy disconnection lately, from people, from places, from patterns you once clung to. That's not rejection. That's redirection. You're not being left behind. You're being lifted out. Like Enoch, your journey is shifting. And your exit, your elevation, your disappearance will not just confuse them, it will confirm to them that you were different all along. They didn't see it while you were present, but they'll feel it when you're gone. God is about to make your absence louder than your presence ever was. Let's break this open in 7 divine chapters. Before we go deeper, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because this message isn't just a video. It's a divine signal meant only for those set apart, like Enoch. If your spirit resonates with this frequency, type 77 in the comments right now. That number isn't random. It's a sacred confirmation, a spiritual code, a sign that, like Enoch, you're walking in divine alignment with the Most High. And the heavens have taken notice. Not everyone is meant to walk this path. Not everyone will make it to the end. Only the truly chosen. Only the ones marked for higher dimensions and divine disappearance. And if you stay through this message, you'll understand why your journey had to be different, why your silence was sacred, and why your absence will speak louder than your presence ever could. This message isn't meant for casual listening. It's a living scroll, a hidden revelation. Rewatch it whenever your soul stirs, because each time, another veil will lift. Each time, you'll uncover another mystery about your identity and your divine exit. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Enoch walked different. And so do you. Enoch didn't live to impress the world, he lived to walk with God. He didn't need a stage. He didn't seek status. He wasn't performing for attention. His life was a quiet symphony of obedience, a steady rhythm of faith that pleased heaven so deeply, God couldn't let him stay in a fallen world any longer. Enoch's walk wasn't loud, but it was loud in the spirit. It didn't trend on earth, but it was talked about in heaven. And you, chosen one, are walking in that same spiritual lineage. You've always felt that you were on a path that your rhythm doesn't match the noise of this world. While others rush to be seen, you've been content in the shadows. While others chase platforms, you've chased presence. The presence of the Most High. And whether you know it or not, that consistency, that discipline, that unwavering commitment to walk right, even when it's hard, it's being noticed not just by people, but by angels, by heaven, by God Himself. That's why your life has felt disconnected from the crowd, because you were never meant to follow the crowd. You were born to walk with God, not with culture. And the more you've said yes in silence, the more powerful your spirit has become. You've matured in the invisible. You've been strengthened in the secret. And just like Enoch, your obedience is creating a bridge, a pathway to something greater than this world. You don't need to announce what's happening. You don't have to convince anyone of your walk. Because soon, just like Enoch, your disappearance, your shift, your elevation, your sudden repositioning, will speak louder than any explanation ever could. People will say, "Where did they go?" And the answer will be simple: you walked too closely with God to stay in the same place. You aligned too deeply to remain among the ordinary. This chapter of your life isn't about popularity. It's about prophecy. It's not about being loud. It's about being chosen. And the more you lean into your walk, the closer you get to your divine relocation. You're not losing your place, you're being positioned. You're not drifting away, you're being drawn into purpose. You're not disappearing aimlessly, you're ascending intentionally. This isn't isolation. It's divine extraction. Chapter 2. Your disappearance will be the proof. The Bible doesn't say that Enoch died. It simply says, he was not, for God took him. No funeral. No final words. No resting place to mourn. Just gone. Moved. Extracted. Repositioned by divine hands. His departure became his announcement. His absence became his evidence. God didn't just call him, he claimed him. And just like that, chosen. 1. Your exit will be your loudest message. Your sudden disappearance from spaces that dishonored you, from relationships that used you, from environments that no longer matched your elevation, will be undeniable. God is about to remove you from places where your spirit has outgrown the atmosphere, not out of punishment, but out of purpose. They'll scroll through your page, search for your presence, revisit old messages, and feel the undeniable void that your obedience left behind. But here's the mystery. Your disappearance may not always be physical. Sometimes it's spiritual. Sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes it's energetic. You'll be in the same room, but you've outgrown the frequency. You'll be in the same crowd, but you've been lifted to a different consciousness. You'll stop answering the calls that once pulled you into chaos. You'll stop explaining yourself to people who were never listening anyway. You'll stop shrinking to fit spaces that were never shaped for your soul. And while you rise, quietly, privately, steadily, those who overlooked you will be forced to reckon with a truth they never saw coming. You were heaven sent. You weren't just nice. You weren't just wise. You were marked. Your presence carried protection. Your words held weight. Your silence was sacred. And now that you're no longer accessible, your memory will preach louder than your words ever did. The most powerful part of this shift. You won't need to say a thing. You won't post a dramatic exit. You won't throw shade. You won't demand closure. God will be your exclamation mark. Your peace will speak louder than your pain ever did. Your joy will be the proof that you've been positioned. They won't be able to explain it. They'll just know, something changed. And deep down, they'll realize, you didn't leave them. God took you. This is your Enoch moment. A divine pulling away. A sacred relocation. A holy exit that confirms you were walking with God all along. Chapter 3. God is removing you to reveal you. To some, it may look like you're pulling away, like you're losing interest, like you're isolating. But in the spirit realm, something far greater is happening. God is moving you in silence to reveal you in glory. You're not backing down, you're being pulled up. You're not running from life, you're walking into purpose. What looks like a step back is really a divine setup for a quantum leap. This isn't retreat, it's refinement. You see, God often hides his greatest vessels before he highlights them. He removes you from noisy rooms, so you can finally hear his whisper. He removes you from draining circles, so he can refuel your soul. He removes you from platforms that dilute your voice, so he can place you where your anointing can flow freely. This next dimension of your life doesn't require validation, it requires separation. And you don't need to explain it. You don't need to convince anyone why you're less available. You don't owe them a breakdown of what God is building within you. When God is working on you, privacy becomes power. Quiet becomes holy. Hiddenness becomes divine strategy. He's removing you from certain environments. Not to punish you, but to preserve you. To protect what's precious. To cleanse your surroundings of anything that can't go with you to the next level. Because what He's about to reveal through you is weighty, sacred, and unstoppable. And He won't let it be contaminated by confusion, comparison, or compromise. God is not just preparing you, He's unveiling you. Every delay was divine. Every closed door was calculated. Every disappointment was redirection. You thought you were being denied, but you were really being defined. You no longer need to make announcements. You won't have to post a revelation for people to respect it. The fruit of your obedience will speak for itself. The oil on your life will become undeniable. And the ones who doubted your destiny will see it manifest, clearly, powerfully. Undeniably. Your life is about to become a fulfilled prophecy. Your movement will confuse those who only measure progress by visibility. But what they don't know is that divine promotion often begins in isolation. Before Joseph ruled Egypt, he was forgotten in prison. Before David held the crown, he was hidden with sheep. Before Jesus performed his first miracle, he withdrew into the wilderness. Hiddenness is holy. And you, chosen one, are in holy transition. So don't resist it. Embrace it. Let God pull you away from what no longer aligns. Let Him reshape your rhythm. Let Him reorder your relationships. Let Him reveal who you really are, without the noise, without the pressure, without the performance. You're not losing access. You're gaining clarity. You're not becoming irrelevant. You're becoming irreplaceable. God is removing you, not to break you, but to build the version of you that can carry what's coming next. Stay hidden until heaven says, now. Chapter 4. You were different from the beginning. Even before you could fully explain it. You felt it. You didn't fit. You couldn't blend in no matter how hard you tried. Your laugh was deeper. Your tears, favor that confused others. Favor that even confused you at times. But now the picture is becoming clearer. Like Enoch, you were never built to walk with the world. You were created to walk with God. That's why you couldn't follow the crowd. That's why their approval never felt like enough. That's why their rejections didn't stop your spirit. You were never wired to be a copy, because heaven created you to be a carrier. A carrier of revelation. A carrier of healing. A carrier of prophetic insight. You saw what others ignored. You felt what others dismissed. You carried burdens that weren't even yours, because your spirit was tuned to something higher. Growing up, you were probably misunderstood. Called too sensitive. Too intense. Too deep. But that depth wasn't dysfunction. It was discernment. Your spirit could pick up on things long before they happened. You could sense shifts in energy, changes in people, and battles behind the smiles. That's not weird. That's wisdom. You were always set apart. But it didn't always feel like a gift. Sometimes it felt like loneliness, like exile, like being forgotten. But what felt like abandonment was really alignment. God was keeping you close, not because you were fragile, but because you were vital. You carried peace into rooms that were soaked in chaos. You brought clarity to minds tangled in confusion. You reminded people of who they were when they forgot. You stood in the gap. You prayed when others partied. You stayed when others scattered. You obeyed when it cost you comfort. Why? Because you were different from the beginning. Your sensitivity was a signal. Your solitude was protection. Your struggle was sacred. And now the very things that made you feel isolated will become the reason you're elevated. What they laughed at will become what they learn from. What they overlooked will become what they seek out. What they called too much will be exactly what God uses to deliver more. You are not random. You are not broken. You are not behind. You were marked. And that mark, the one heaven gave you, cannot be erased by opinions, obscured by lies, or silenced by rejection. God saw this version of you long before anyone else did, the version that walks boldly, speaks clearly, loves deeply, discerns quickly, and obeys consistently. The world didn't know what to do with you because it didn't design you. But God did. And He's about to show everyone why He made you the way He did. Your very existence is proof that the kingdom doesn't need 1,000 voices. There was no explosion, no public spectacle, no grand announcement, just a steady walk that led him beyond the reach of human eyes. And, chosen one, that same spiritual process is happening in you right now. You may not feel like you're moving fast, but you are walking in alignment. You may not see the full transformation, but heaven does. Every time you choose silence over revenge, every time you pray instead of panic, every time you forgive instead of fight back, your walk is deepening. Your spirit is maturing. You're being changed from the inside out. This is why people who once claimed to know you, don't anymore. You're not the same. The old version of you would have argued, reacted, retaliated. But now, you discern and distance. You bless and release. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Why? Because the presence of God is reshaping you. You're not becoming cold. You're becoming called. You're not being arrogant. You're being awakened. You're not pulling away out of pride. You're being pulled higher by purpose. God is upgrading your appetite. You no longer crave the same conversations. You no longer settle for the same cycles. You're no longer impressed by what used to excite you. And to those stuck in your past, this shift is confusing, even offensive. Because your evolution exposes their stagnation. But don't shrink to be familiar. Don't apologize for your growth. The deeper your walk with God becomes, the more you'll outgrow what once felt like home. The places that once fed you now drain you. The people who once supported you now misunderstand you. But don't take it personal. Take it prophetic. You are not being isolated. You are being insulated. You're not being forgotten. You're being fortified. And yes, it hurts to be misread. It stings to be misjudged. But what if that's the proof that the transformation is working? Your speech is different. Your energy is cleaner. Your patience is longer. Your spirit is quieter, not because you don't care, but because you finally know what matters. You are becoming the type of person who doesn't have to say much. Your presence preaches. Your peace convicts. Your purpose clarifies. People will start saying, "You've changed." And they're right. You have. But it's not that you became someone else. It's that you finally became who you were always. Chapter 6. God is using your exit as evidence. When God took Enoch, it wasn't just a reward, it was a revelation. A divine announcement without words. A silent, powerful message sent to a generation drowning in compromise and corruption. Holiness is still possible. Intimacy with God is still real. Enoch's disappearance wasn't just about his elevation, it was about God making a statement through his life. And, chosen one, that's what's happening to you. You think you're just pulling back. You think you're just protecting your peace. But in the spirit realm, your exit is an echo of Enoch. God is using your movement to make a statement to the world around you. Every time you walk away from drama, detach from dysfunction, and disconnect from destructive cycles, you're preaching a sermon without a mic. You're showing what it looks like to choose righteousness over relevance, purity over popularity, calling over comfort. You're not just leaving things behind. You're leaving a blueprint. You're showing the next generation that you can walk away and still win. That you can live a holy life in an unholy time. That you can grow without compromise, heal without hurting others, and rise without ruining your integrity. When people ask, where did she go? Where did he disappear? 2. The answer will be simple, you went higher. You left behind the noise, the cycles, the gossip, the games, because you had somewhere greater to go. And while some may misread your absence as arrogance or disloyalty, heaven knows the truth. Your disappearance is obedience. You've been called out. So you can be called up. And what's wild is, your absence is going to say more than your presence ever could. Because it's not just about where you're going. It's about what you're leaving behind. You're leaving a legacy. You're leaving proof that someone finally broke the cycle. Someone finally stood up and said, it ends with me. Someone finally walked differently, thought differently, lived differently. Someone finally chose God and didn't turn back. The people who took your prayers for granted. The ones who rolled their eyes at your boundaries. The ones who laughed at your convictions, they'll remember you. Not because you made noise, but because you made impact. Your life left a fragrance, a feeling, a fingerprint. And even when you're no longer in their space, your example will still speak. Because real impact doesn't vanish when you exit. It multiplies. Think about Enoch. He walked so close to God that God just took him. No funeral. No farewell, just gone. And yet his name still echoes, and when he's ready, your elevation will not need explanation. So don't mourn the exit. Don't question the separation. Don't apologize for walking away from what no longer matches your calling. Chapter 7. You're not missing. You're masterfully moved. Chosen one, what people call a disappearance, heaven calls a divine repositioning. When God moves his vessels, his marked, his molded, his matured ones, it rarely looks like glory at first. It often looks like silence. It looks like absence. It looks like being removed, rejected, or replaced. But make no mistake, you're not missing. You're not lost. You're not forgotten. You've simply been masterfully moved. When God took Enoch, there was no parade, no explanation, no long goodbye, just gone. And for many, it stirred confusion. But for those with spiritual eyes, it stirred conviction. Because when God truly elevates someone, the shift is spiritual before it's social. You're becoming the answer to a silent prayer someone is still afraid to pray. You're becoming the sign that holiness still matters. You're becoming the proof that, yes, it is still possible to choose obedience over opportunity, purity over popularity, and purpose over performance. And when they search for you in old places, they'll find empty space. Not because you ghosted, but because you graduated. You moved out of the realm of needing to be seen and into the realm of being sent. You are now operating under divine management, not human maintenance. And it shows, chosen. 1. Your disappearance isn't a detour, it's the destination.